All right, Miss Lydia, it's 2:00.
Yes, sir.
Although we don't have a.
We're on.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, September the 1st strategic planning meeting. I'll now call this meeting to order. I guess maybe we should pause just for a few minutes to see if we have an attorney that's going to join us today. Since it is 2:00 before we, however, we don't have any items that we're actually deliberating on. I'll tell you what, we'll just go ahead and start our other business under pending presentations. Councilman Oglesby, you have an announcement on the ECD committee meeting?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair. On September the 15th, we will have a Economic and Community Development Committee meeting at our agenda session, and we will have a presentation from our Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, do you know what that presentation will be about, sir?
No, but I'll have more information next week just to be sure, because we're dealing with about 3 different items and they're going to be split up. So I may have something for you later, but
okay. All right. Very well. So Madam Clerk, you got that ECD meeting on the 15th. Okay. All right. Mr. Attorney, thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Quite busy.
Okay, next on our agenda is the GARE and racial equity training. And I think we have, let me flip over. Miss Beverly is going to join us, and I think she has some information regarding this for us. So Miss Lydia, would you bring Beverly Moultrie in, please?
Yes, sir. She's on her way.
Okay.
Hello, Council.
Good evening, Ms. Moultrie. We were just discussing our GARE and racial equity training, and as we had spoken to you last week, I think you have gotten us a dollar figure as well as maybe some potential dates that they would be available.
Yes, sir. Well, first off, in regards to the dollar amount for planning purposes, if you all would plan between $3,000 and $4,000, typically a half day or whole day session for us is somewhere close to $6,000. So since we're asking for a portion of the day without having an invoice in front of me right now, for planning purposes, if you guys can count on no more than about $4,000, if that would be helpful, but it should be between 3 and 4.
Okay, all right.
In regards to the training date, I am in collaboration with the consultants now. Right now, we are targeting, trying to work out dates between now and about 45 days from now. So what I'm looking for at best is sometime before the middle of October. Our challenge is, of course, we lose a week with the holiday that is coming up. And because they had some other items on their agenda, we're trying to maneuver a few dates sooner than that. So I'll need to come back to you. But right now, I'm trying to target to get you all training before the middle of October. But the commitment they've made to me thus far is, if not the middle of October, definitely before November 1.
Okay. And this would be on a Tuesday. These are dates we're looking at on Tuesday.
Correct. And my understanding is that you all would like to have this on a date other than a strategic planning time date. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That is what I'm looking at. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so we're looking about a 2-hour time frame.
Yes, of course. Yes, we're targeting 2 hours. It would be great if we could at least got 2.5 hours.
Okay.
I understand your constraints, but if we can do 2.5, that would probably make for a more comprehensive discussion for you guys.
Okay. And Mr. Attorney, I believe I'm correct in saying this, this being an educational session for the council, we could have this just in a private setting without public being involved.
If this is only for the purpose of education in that regard, I believe you can. I would maintain a record to make sure that no one can establish that there's been any deliberation in connection with the meeting on matters that come before you. But beyond that, I think you're fine. The
Okay.
deliberation aspect is what is the concerning part about the statute.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Beverly, when you're looking at the Tuesday, are you talking about morning or afternoon?
Right now, I'm thinking of morning, so my understanding is that maybe the earliest you all could do it is around 11:30. So that is the time period that I'm starting with.
Okay,
Depending
well,
on the dates.
it shouldn't affect the decision at all, but we already have Supreme Court training scheduled I believe it's the last week of October. So if you go, and I'll be teaching law and ethics at that time. So do the best for everyone, not just me. I just wanted you to know I already have that conflict.
Okay, understand. Are there any other dates perhaps that may be conflicts for anyone that I need to maybe work around?
There are for me. I will be gone, I believe, the 13th of October.
Okay. Okay. Well, what I'll do as soon as I have at least 2 or 3 different date options, I will come back to you all with those options to ensure that those are good dates for everyone. And then we'll just look for the majority and we'll move forward from there.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilman Ledford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Beverly, are we still working to do this on a Tuesday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what we're
thank you.
talking about.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Moultrie? All right. If not, Ms. Moultrie, we'll look forward to a couple of dates that we might be able to look at, and I think we could probably squeeze 2.5 hours out for this.
All right, excellent.
Okay.
Look forward to coming
All right.
back to you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right, Miss Lydia.
Yes, sir.
All right, next on our agenda is pending legislative matters, and at this point, we only have one, the non-owner occupied short-term vacation rental, which Councilwoman Coonrod has requested, although she's not here today. So I guess, I think, Mr. Attorney, you have worked up some proposed legislation for this, correct?
Yes, sir. I did a revised draft and I've sent that on to Councilwoman Coonrod. I was expecting she would bring that to you whenever she wants to talk about it.
Sure. Okay. We'll just wait on her.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask permission to add to pending legislative matters what I'm referring to as the Tornado Rebuilding Relief Resolution, or the TR3 for short.
All right. I'm listening. What would that involve, sir?
This would involve addressing some of the hardships and burdens placed upon businesses, educational institutions, nonprofit, religious institutions in the East Brainerd area in their rebuilding. And this would absolutely help benefit many of them who are finding, due to COVID especially, some of the regulations that we have in place now in the rebuilding effort. So what I will be trying to do, without letting the cat out of the bag too much, because I'm still working with this with the city attorney and LDO, I think we're getting close, is to be able to utilize a grandfather clause in a previous resolution that this council passed, I think corrective ordinance this body has passed in 2017, that basically would allow the rebuilding of the institute, of the physical structure, to be grandfathered in under the conditions in which they were built. That is something that we have in our ordinance number 13251, and I think it would be a tremendous relief as we're seeing people trying to rebuild, Chairman, and with COVID adding on to the fact of the tornado, it's difficult, and I'm looking to find a way to help provide some relief and encourage rebuilding for the benefit of not only their institutions, but also our city.
And that would, that resolution would maintain as long as they have the same footprint and parking capacity, correct?
That is correct. I appreciate you bringing that up. There would be no easement, if you will, on erosion control measures or lifting or abating any type of NOVs. This would strictly be going back as long as you didn't build back larger impervious areas. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but in no fashion would I ever dream of trying to put anything forward that would limit our restrictions on erosion control and especially NOVs.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you add that, please, to our pending legislative matters? And as soon as Councilman Ledford is ready for that to be brought forward, we'll assign it to the appropriate committee.
Yes, I'll add it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Is there anything else that needs to come before the council under future legislative items? Okay. All right. Board appointments. You see there, council, a couple of different boards that we do still need some appointments for. Anybody, I guess nobody has appointments at this point in time. Okay. There is under administrative items for future consideration, council, if you would flip over to that, and I'm going to under finance, Councilwoman Burrs, we have a couple of items under future consideration. One is amend the budget, amend the operating budget, and then another one is amend the capital improvement budget. I would like to request that we put those in committee before we bring those forward. Would you be able to have these in committee possibly in the next week or two?
Yes, sir. I've been looking at those, and what I would suggest is that we have a committee meeting next week, the 8th. It looks like our schedule will take that.
I believe it will.
And I think because we're talking about amendments and because the process gets so much attention, what I thought we could do is do it on the 8th, and we will have an education session, just like we did with the budget. And at that time, go ahead and schedule a public hearing for the 15th. It's totally up to council when we have the first and second readings, but amendments have to have the same dignity as the original budget in process. And I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, that it's not for a public hearing. It's not a week, it's 10 days, right?
10 days notice before the final reading of the budget ordinance. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, before the final reading.
Yes. But I
So,
think it does good to give them, at least if you're having a public hearing, notice in advance so they're aware of that. If you can do that 10 days in advance.
the reason I was going for it, Mr. Chair, is we learned a lot from the public input, and then we went back and did some more talk. So it may be that the best thing to do, and this is totally up to you, but I would suggest that we have the education sec next week, that we schedule the public hearing for the 15th. Then we've got all the input we need to decide whether we want to go forward with the 22nd for the first reading or move it out. That's all. Nothing binds us to anything.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you be able to issue a public notice for the public hearing on the 15th?
Yes, I could get that out.
And Mr. Attorney, that covers us time-wise,
Yes, sir.
is that correct?
Yes, sir. We'll do that before the end of the week, and I think that will satisfy it.
Okay,
Yeah.
That doesn't bind us to anything, but if we want to go forward with first and second readings, we can do that, or not, but at least we've got the public hearing out of the way.
Okay. All right, Councilman Mitchell has a question.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And perhaps this is to Councilperson Burrs in her thought process. To follow the council rules, it seems like we would need to put it on the agenda for the 22nd, not wait till after the public hearing and then try to get it on the 22nd, because that doesn't follow the rules. But we can always, if we have it on the 22nd, defer when we get there.
That's what I think. I really want to follow our council rules to the T, and you're absolutely right. So it's a 2-week notice, and I think we should follow that. So are you agreeing with this schedule, or do you want to?
Oh, no, I'm very much in agreement with the schedule. It's more of a process comment about, let's go ahead and get it on the 2-week agenda.
Right.
It would be on the 8th. It would end up being on the 22nd. And if we're not ready, we can always defer.
Yeah, I have down in my notes, the 8th committee, 15th public meeting, also scheduling the first reading for the 22nd and the second for the 29th. And we can do whatever we want with that, but we will at least have followed our rules. So thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
So if I understand what you're saying, we will wait till next week after we've had our committee hearing to put it on the agenda for the 22nd.
Correct.
No, sir,
Yeah.
we need to go ahead and put it on the agenda because we have 2 weeks notice.
Yeah, but we can wait till the 8th. We can actually wait till after our committee meeting. And then you can say, are you ready to put it on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
agenda? And that
Oh,
still
yeah.
gives us 2 weeks to the 22nd.
That's absolutely right. And so what I'm telling council, we can be thinking about is, sure, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But the date would be the 22nd.
Yeah.
And so I just went and threw that out there. And you may not be ready to do anything at all. We just need to follow our rules, please.
That's right.
Yes.
And Nicole will file something in the paper at least this week so that at least we're in advance of that, and we'll list all of those dates as potential dates.
Well, now, Phil, I think we can't, once we list a public meeting, we have to go ahead and have the public meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that the only
And that
thing
would
that
be-
we can, the only thing we can massage at all is the 22nd, 29th. We can't
Yes.
change our mind on the 15th. That's firm, right?
Yes, ma'am. If you
Okay.
announce the public hearing, and according to your council rules, you can defer things if you need to for more time. But we're just trying to make sure we've given everyone at least 10 days notice of that in the paper, since it's involving
Yeah.
a budget amendment.
Can we defer a public hearing? I think not. I think we can defer votes.
I think you can defer votes on items, but I would not defer the public hearing because
Thank
that's
you. That
notice
was
in the paper for the vote. Yes.
All right, let's schedule Budget and Finance Committee meeting for the 8th. We'll go ahead and advertise for the public hearing on the 15th.
Thank you.
And,
Yes.
and we can set our first reading on the 8th. We can decide on the 8th
Yes,
for the first reading.
yes,
Tentatively the 22nd.
yes.
Okay.
Thank
And we will do notices for both the capital improvements amendment and the regular operations amendment for the budget ordinance, because you got 2 items on the agenda.
Well, we have one other that I did want to know how you want to do this, Mr. Chair. That bid thing comes up.
Is that on the 3-week look ahead?
It is.
I didn't notice it. I just saw the,
I
Okay.
asked that it be,
Yeah, it's there.
oh yeah, I see it.
okay. So we last year decided, we agreed to the bid process that we finally came up with to be reviewed in a year. And it was to be reviewed with relative to our minutes. It was to be reviewed to see if we want to keep going with it, if we want to keep going the same way, look at their budget, all kinds of stuff. That's an interesting discussion. And so that's on there too. I just wanted to make you aware of that, Mr. Chair.
I think we would have time to cover that as well during our committee meeting.
Okay.
Let's
I'm
go
cool-
ahead.
I'm cool with that.
Let's go ahead and line up whoever needs to be here. And
I'll
and
take care of
have that on the 8th as well then.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, let me flip back over. Any questions or comments concerning our Budget and Finance Committee for next week? I'm seeing no hands. Okay, if not, we will move on. We will obviously have our agenda session here at 3:30, just a few minutes. I'll tell you what, while we're here, is there any other items on future consideration that the council would like either some information on or comment on or anything?
Mr. Chair, we'll be going over the Public Works, future considerations in the Public Works and Transportation meeting.
Okay, is that that would be this afternoon?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. We do have Planning and Zoning Committee this afternoon at 3:30.
Yes, sir.
And a briefing on the zoning code assessment contract, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Up to speed on that? All right, good. All right, is there anything else under, I guess even for the agenda for the 9th or the 8th, I'm sorry, on the 8th that council wants to bring up at this time? Councilman Gilbert?
Yeah, I have a question about Public Works, but I can't wait till Public Works come up today to ask that question.
Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll just wait till our 3:30 agenda session.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Hold on one second. Miss Lydia, would you bring Miss Sullivan in, please?
Yes, sir. She's on her way.
Good afternoon, Miss Sullivan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. I thought that I had 2 emergency additions to the 3-week agenda, 2 short-term vacation rentals, one at 62 East 17th Street and one at 74 East 17th Street. But I have just been notified that they can wait for 4 weeks. So I don't have to ask y'all's permission to add them as an emergency here on the 3 weeks. So,
3 week. Okay.
so we can put them on you'll see them on your 3-week next week. So
Good. Okay.
apologies, but thanks.
Very well. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Sullivan.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Lydia. Okay, council, I think we've pretty much, Mr. Attorney, do we need an attorney-client privilege meeting today?
There is one small matter I would like to talk to you just briefly about here. It's on a case.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that needs to come before the council under strategic planning before we go to attorney-client privilege? I'm seeing no hands. Mr. Vice Chair, if you would end our meeting, please, sir, and restart us, and we'll go into attorney-client privilege.